Hello, I'm Keith Morrison, and this is a Dateline mini mystery. They are burned into Michelle Despain's brain. The images of that awful afternoon when she came home early from work to this.
He was laying in the floor, and there was blood coming all out from behind him.
Mark, her husband of nearly 15 years, adoring father to their 3 young children, dead on the kitchen floor. Is it a sight that lives in your mind a lot?
Oh yeah.
Michelle called 911 as she raced out of the house in terror.
Ma'am, I need you to take a deep breath, okay, and tell me what's going on.
I don't know.
Her cries for help
Please send an ambulance.
piercing the quiet of this lazy Arkansas suburb. And the questions began. Who killed this devoted family man? And why? Detective Vic Brooks walked the crime scene looking for clues.
It appeared that he had just walked in and then was caught totally off guard.
It was an ambush, the detective decided. Someone had crept up on Mark, shot him twice, execution style. But who? Detective Brooks found out the local businessman was in debt, lots of it, and someone surprising was gunning for him in the courts. His own dad.
Mark had told multiple people, if anything ever happens to me, y'all look at my dad.
Turned out Mark didn't just owe his dad money. Jack and his son hadn't spoken in years. So the detective invited Dad to the police station and watched the man fall apart. Jack told the detective he'd been fixing his roof when the murder happened, and his alibi checked out. So, back to square one. Until the detective got an anonymous tip. A gift, really. Someone had been heard boasting about the murder. A local street tough called himself Quelo. Detective Brooks brought him in. Quelo denied everything.
I didn't do that. I did not do that, sir.
But Detective Brooks wasn't buying it.
This is serious to me. I got 3 kids that are laying over crying.
The next day, Quelo finally came clean. Someone had offered him thousands of dollars to shoot and kill Mark Despain, he admitted. But his paymaster was not Mark's dad, Jack. It was Michelle's father, a man called Carl. What made him do it? Mark had given Carl a job, a house, taken him on family vacations. Carl lawyered up and refused to say a word. But Mark's parents had an idea.
I cannot see Carl taking my son's life without Michelle being involved.
If Mark's parents were to be believed, Michelle, the grieving widow, had something to hide. The detective asked her point blank.
Did you have anything to do with the murder of your husband?
No, sir.
But she admitted she was hiding something.
You have to understand, I'm very ashamed of this.
Michelle spilled the details of a steamy affair. And maybe here at last was a motive for murder. That's what Mark's parents thought. If Mark found out about the affair, Michelle had a lot to lose. But if Mark died?
We found that there were 2 insurance policies, each for the amount of $500,000.
That's a healthy chunk of change.
Yes, sir.
But where was the proof? The detective scoured phone records and saw a flurry of text messages between Carl and Michelle in the hours leading up to the murder. But what was said? Who knows? The messages had been scrubbed from the phones by the time the detective got his hands on them. Suspicious, yes, but it didn't prove a thing. The idea that Michelle might get away with murder was eating Jack alive.
You've got a whole lot of anger in there for that woman, haven't you?
If I could take her life and bring my son back, I'd do it. I'd do it in a heartbeat.
But finally, a breakthrough. a police analyst managed to recover some of those deleted texts, like this one. "Has to be today," Michelle wrote to her dad. "Can't live like this." Michelle was arrested and charged with capital murder for orchestrating and planning her husband's death. She denied it, said she could explain everything, and agreed to tell us.
Why people should believe that you had nothing to do with the plot to kill Mark?
Because I didn't. He was such a good dad. Such a good dad. And anybody that knows me knows that my kids are so important to me, the most important thing. And I would never want them to not have their dad.
But she did want out of the marriage, she said. So those back and forth texts with her dad that day did involve a plot, just not murder.
What did you think he was helping you do?
Leave.
But her dad changed the plan on her, Michelle said, and hired someone not to help her move, but to kill her husband. She was stunned.
I thought that he cared for Mark, the father of my kids.
And then, in the weeks leading up to the trial, Michelle's defense team fought hard to get the recovered texts thrown out of court, and the prosecutor agreed to make a deal. Michelle pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of hindering apprehension, admitted not telling the cops everything she knew about the crime. Her dad and the shooter got 35 years, but Michelle, though sentenced to 30 years, could be out on parole in as little as 5. Mark's parents said some prison time is better than none. They want to remember their boy's life now, the happy times, and not the way he died.
God, I loved him.
I'm sorry, Jack.
As the sun set one summer evening, Mark's parents invited friends and family to release balloons in his memory.
I tell people all the time, hug the ones you love. Let them know. 'Cause you never know the next moment they may be gone.
Hey Dateline fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on the button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch digital exclusives and original content from the creators of Dateline.